Picture this: a black man, suited up, heart pounding, late for the job interview of his life. But just as he's rehearsing his "hire me, please" smile in the mirror, plot twist. A white kid drops unconscious right in front of him. And let's be real, most folks would say, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." But this man, oh, he chose humanity over hustle. And that choice? Yeah, it flipped his entire destiny. All right, let's set the scene. A black man, suited up, tie tighter than student loan debt, shoes polished so hard you could see your reflection, was on his way to a job interview. And not just any interview. This was the kind where you psych yourself up in the mirror, practicing that smile that says, "Yes, sir, I'm dependable. Hire me. Please ignore the fact I ate cereal for dinner last night." Every second counted. You know how it goes? Showing up late to an interview? That's corporate suicide. They'll toss your resume faster than spam mail. So, my guy is marching down the street like it's the final lap of the Olympics. Determination in his step, prayers on his lips. But then, bam, plot twist. Right there on the sidewalk, a white boy is sprawled out cold, unconscious. No movement, no sound, just laying there like the end of a bad movie. Now pause. Let's be real. In that moment, a lot of people would have looked around, pretended not to see, and kept walking. Because opportunity. She don't wait. You miss one shot, and it's game over. And here's where the story flips. Our guy didn't keep walking. He didn't say, "Not my problem." He didn't worry about creasing his suit. Instead, he drops everything. His schedule, his shot at a paycheck, maybe even his future, and scoops this boy up, racing to the hospital like his own life depended on it. Now, let me keep it real. If you've ever been broke, you know this is no small gamble. This is Vegas-level risk with no chips on the table. Interviews aren't just conversations when you're black and job hunting. They're survival missions. Miss one? That's rent unpaid, bills piling up, dignity slipping through your fingers. And this man just tossed it all in the air for a stranger. That right there is sacrifice. Not the kind you write in a resume bullet point, but the kind that speaks louder than any leadership skills or team player nonsense. Because let's face it, no boss is out here asking, "Tell me about a time you carried a random unconscious kid to a hospital." And yet, that's exactly the kind of human moment that defines character. And let's sprinkle in some truth. For black folks especially, every opportunity is precious. The margin of error is paper thin. Miss one bus and you're left waiting for years. That's the reality. So this choice? It wasn't just a nice gesture. It was a radical act of faith. Faith that doing the right thing, even when it costs you everything, will somehow come back around. He put humanity above hustle, compassion above capitalism. He made a choice most people don't have the courage to make, to risk his own survival for someone else's. That's not weakness, that's strength turned inside out. But hold up, you think this was just some random kid? Oh no, the universe had more plot twists ready than a Netflix drama. Because when the truth came out about who that boy was, let's just say, destiny had been sitting in the back seat the whole time, waiting to shout, "Surprise!" Now, here's where the story really starts cooking. Our man thinks he just pulled off an act of basic humanity, saving a kid in distress. He's probably sitting in that hospital waiting room, sweat dripping down his suit, stomach empty, mind racing. There goes the interview. There goes my shot. There goes my rent money. Welp, guess I'll be Googling how to sell plasma for cash by tonight. But then, plot twist so wild it could make M. Night Shyamalan jealous. Turns out the unconscious white boy he carried like a sack of potatoes wasn't just anybody. Nope. That kid was the son of the CEO of the very company he was supposed to interview at. Boom. Think about that for a second. This man went from being a random job applicant fighting for a shot to the ultimate VIP guest at the table without even knocking on the door. Talk about skipping the line. Everyone else is polishing their resumes, practicing fake laughs for interviews. And here he is, walking in with the ultimate reference. "Oh, you mean the guy who saved my child's life? Yeah, he's hired." That's not just good timing. That's divine comedy. It's like the universe looked at him and said, "Forget LinkedIn endorsements. I just endorsed you with the CEO's bloodline. Forget recommendation letters." He saved the recommendation itself. Now imagine the CEO's perspective. You get a call that your kid passed out and some stranger saved him. You rush down to the hospital, frantic, and who's standing there? A black man in a wrinkled suit, looking like he just sprinted through a marathon with destiny on his back. You don't ask for his resume. You don't care about his GPA. You don't even ask him the classic, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Because at that moment, where do you see him? You see him as the guy who made sure your kid lived to have 5 more years. That's impact. That's leverage. That's a door that opens so wide you don't even need to knock. And let's be honest, this is the kind of plot twist that cuts deeper for the black struggle narrative. Because usually, it goes the other way. Too often, black folks save the day and get nothing but a pat on the back and a shrug from society. But this time, tables flipped. Destiny leaned in, winked, and said, "Not today, player. Today, you cash in." So what does that mean? It means sometimes the blessings you're chasing aren't sitting in the interview room. They're lying unconscious on the sidewalk, waiting for you to notice. Now here's the kicker. When the CEO found out what this man had done, he didn't just shake his hand and say, "Thanks, champ." Oh no. He rolled out the kind of reward HR would never sign off on. Because this wasn't about a paycheck anymore. This was about paying a life debt. So, here's where the fairy tale meets the boardroom. The CEO didn't waste time with HR emails, background checks, or 27 rounds of "we'll get back to you." Nope. He looked this man dead in the eye and said, "You're hired." Just like that. On the spot. No resume needed. No, "tell me about your strengths and weaknesses." No awkward small talk about hobbies nobody cares about. Because let's face it, there's no stronger qualification than literally saving the boss's child's life. Forget degrees. Forget cover letters. That act of heroism, that's the kind of resume line that writes itself in bold, all caps, underlined. And here's the kicker. This wasn't just a job. This was security, stability, respect. The kind of opportunity most folks spend years begging for, he got in a single act of selflessness. He didn't network. He life-saved. He didn't interview. He intervened. He didn't apply. He arrived. That's a level up no career coach could ever teach. And it says something bigger. Sometimes the universe doesn't check your resume. It checks your character. The CEO wasn't impressed by his past jobs or his GPA. He was impressed by his humanity. And when you think about it, that's the purest reference letter anyone can have. And while that sounds like a Disney ending, let's not get too comfortable. Because this story, it's not just about a happy accident, it's dripping with lessons richer than grandma's Sunday stew. And if you miss those lessons, you miss the whole point. Here's the raw truth. In a world where black folks are told they've got to work twice as hard just to get half as far, the grind becomes survival. Wake up early, stay late, smile bigger, talk softer, keep your resume sparkling like a diamond in a pawn shop, just to be considered average. And even then, doors still slam in your face. That's the exhausting reality. But this story, it reminds us of something deeper. Sometimes it's not about how hard you grind. It's about who you are when no one's watching. Our guy didn't save that boy to score points. He didn't do it for clout or a LinkedIn post that says, "feeling blessed." He did it because humanity came first. And that one moment of pure kindness opened doors no amount of hustle ever could. That's the flex nobody talks about. Not the new car, not the big paycheck. The real flex. Choosing compassion in a world that tells you survival is all that matters. Because money can buy you an interview suit, but it can't buy you character. And here's the kicker. This is the kind of power that flips stereotypes on their heads. For once, a black man wasn't defined by his resume, his past, or society's low expectations. He was defined by his actions. And those actions spoke louder than every prejudice in the room. But don't get it twisted. This isn't just a fairy tale wrapped in a bow. Oh no, there's one more piece to this puzzle. Something we can all take home, put in our pockets, and remember when life throws us the next plot twist. Life is wild. Wild in the sense that you can plan it down to the last detail, polish your resume until it shines brighter than a diamond in Beyoncé's ring, and still end up broke, late, and eating instant noodles for dinner. But then, out of nowhere, one single act of kindness can swing the entire pendulum of destiny. That's the madness of it all. Think about it. Most of us are trained to chase success like it's a finish line. Get the grades, get the degree, get the internship, get the job. Grind, grind, grind. The system drills it into us that the only way forward is to out-hustle, out-sweat, out-prove everyone else. Especially if you're black, because society stacks the deck like a casino that never wants you to win. Twice the effort, half the reward. That's the game we're told to play. But this story throws shade at that whole narrative. Because our guy, he didn't win by chasing the system. He didn't win by shaking hands at a networking event over stale coffee and dry muffins. He won because when life threw him a test, an unconscious boy on the street, he chose kindness first. He chose humanity before hustle. And that cracked the system wide open. Here's the lesson. Success isn't always about being the smartest in the room. Sometimes it's about being the kindest human on the street. The kind who stops, the kind who helps, the kind who says, "This isn't convenient for me, but I'm going to do it anyway." Because kindness doesn't care about your resume. It doesn't need a reference. And 9 times out of 10, it shows up when you least expect it and pays dividends bigger than any paycheck. And let's keep it real. This isn't just about jobs, it's about life. You never know when that one small act, holding a door, helping a stranger carry groceries, giving someone a smile on their worst day, might be the moment that shifts everything. Not because you're expecting a reward, but because energy moves in circles. What you give has a funny way of finding its way back. Our guy could have walked past that boy. He could have said, "Not my problem." He could have chased his interview, hoping some manager would see his worth on paper. But instead, he showed his worth in action. And life said, "Bet, I see you." That's the takeaway. Stop underestimating the power of humanity. Stop thinking kindness is weakness. Stop believing success only comes from the grind. Because the truth is, sometimes the universe is less impressed with your resume bullet points and more impressed with your ability to be human. And if you don't believe me, just ask the man who landed a job without an interview. Because he remembered that humanity isn't a side hustle. It's the main gig. So, the next time you're late for something, ask yourself, are you really late? Or are you just right on time for destiny? And if this story hit you harder than Monday morning coffee, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories that flip the script, and share this with someone who needs a reminder. Kindness isn't weakness, it's power. Because at the end of the day, jobs come and go. But humanity, that's forever.